Namo Buddhassa, Vandami Bhante. Welcome everyone to our weekly session on learning and practice of Visuddhimagga. We are in Khanda Nirdesa, and under that we have been learning Viññāṇakkhandhakathā, description of consciousness aggregate, and our teacher Bhante Vimalavamsa, who is a Pali scholar, Abhidhamma teacher, Samatha and Vipassana meditation teacher. This series of Visuddhimagga we have been learning more than 2 years now. And with Bhante's compassion on us, he has been going very detailed, extensively, line by line on Visuddhimagga, and we are cross-referencing various suttas as we coming along on Visuddhimagga. So it's a very detailed study of Visuddhimagga. On behalf of all the participants, I request Bhante with my folded hands. Bhante, having compassion on us, please give us Dhamma Desana.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Make it This is, Visuddhimagga. Now we are in consciousness aggregate. Out of 5 aggregate, we finished materiality aggregate. Now we are you actually now learning consciousness aggregate. In the consciousness aggregate, we finish what call now the resultant consciousness we are studying still. We finished the wholesome side, and now we reach into the resultant side. And in the resultant side also, we finish the kusala or the wholesome resultant we finish. Now unwholesome resultant. Unwholesome resultant. Okay, so this is also what called aggregate. Aggregate means it has not mentioned as kusala or the akusala. That means the vipaka and kriya are the aggregate. So let's move to Chitta chart. Then you can get some idea about what you are learning. Okay, so you can see this is the Chitta chart or the consciousness chart. This is consciousness chart. So 89 kind of consciousnesses has been taught by the Buddha. Out of that, the first column in the left side, those are the akusala consciousness or the unwholesome consciousness. All are rooted. Rooted mean the first greed rooted, 8 kind of greed rooted, greed plus illusion. And then hatred rooted, 2 kinds of, you can see 2 kinds of hatred rooted, but hatred plus illusion. And then 2 kinds of illusion rooted, only illusion. Only illusion. So then you don't have kind of inter-rooted dominating factor here. Only the illusion. So altogether 8, 2 plus 2. Then altogether 12 kinds of akusala or the unwholesome consciousnesses are there. And then when you move to C, take a look at the second column from the left side, I mean. So they are unrooted. All consciousnesses are unrooted. Unrooted. Firstly, you can see ahetuka akusala vipaka. Ahetuka akusala vipaka, or we can say this, the rootless, unwholesome resultant consciousnesses. So you have upekka sahagata chakku viññāṇa, or we can say that is the eye consciousness accompanied by equanimity. Like that, ear consciousness and the tongue, nose consciousness, body consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness are equanimity associated, accompanied by equanimity, but body consciousness associated with not the equanimity, that is pain, associated with pain. And then you have as a sixth one, that is the receiving consciousness. So receiving consciousness also accompanied by equanimity always. And then you have again, that is also equanimity as accompanied by equanimity, that is the investigating consciousness, or what is called santirana. The above one, receiving, is called sampatichana consciousness, or sampatichana chitta. The seventh one is this santirana chittam. Tirana mean, investigate. So tirana mean investigating. So this is the consciousness accompanied by equanimity, investigating consciousness. So altogether you have akusala, or the unwholesome resultant. This is rootless resultant, vipaka. Then you can see after that you can see this is the kusala vipaka. So you have akusala vipaka, or the unwholesome resultant also you might have, and then kusala side also kusala vipaka, or the wholesome resultant but rootless. In the course of life you want to come across. So they are rootless, wholesome. You have 8 kinds. For example, if you see a pleasurable object, then your chakku viññāṇa also arises, and then or the eye consciousness arises, nose consciousness arises, then ear consciousness arises, tongue consciousness arises, body consciousness arises with the pleasurable object. But in the case of akusala, or the unwholesome resultant, there arises unpleasurable object. So here the pleasurable object, taking the pleasurable object, you might have eye consciousness, or the chakku viññāṇa, like that. If you go to the fifth one, that is the body consciousness, but this body consciousness associated with pleasure, not the pain. And then you have again equanimity associated, the mind associated with the equanimity, but receiving, the object receiving, just receiving only. And then you have 2 kinds of santirana, or what called the investigating mind movement, or investigating consciousness. You have 2 kinds. The first one is associated with the joy. So therefore it is what is called somanasa sahagata santirana. Those are all are rootless. Rootless mean ahetuka. And then if you do not have a kind of joy, or joy mental factor, then it become equanimity accompanied by equanimity mental factor. So there you have what called upekka sahagata santirana. That means that mind is accompanied by the equanimity, and but investigating the object, it it investigates the object, but not totally. Very superficially it investigates. So receiving also, receiving the object, but not totally can understand what is the object like. Only it does the receiving. Okay, so these are the resultant consciousnesses. The other three below, you can see those are the functional consciousnesses. But this functional consciousness also, according to the Buddha's classification, Buddha clarified it as the functional uh, consciousnesses, three kinds of functional consciousness. All are those three other functional consciousness, what is called Panchadwara Vajjan, Fido adverting consciousness, and then Mindo adverting consciousness, and you have the third one as the third one, Somanasa Sahagata Hasitupada, or we can say that is the smile producing consciousness of the Arahant, which is always associated with the joy, Somanasa Sahagata. But this smile producing consciousness, to the object, that is the anularesu vattusu. Anularesu vattusu mean it is not the um, like oh, the object is like skeleton object, and then ghost object, like object. If the arahant sees that object, then but they do not have any kind of disgusting kind of thing, but they are also there arises some joy, but then they can make smile over that. So this is the but in the case of they have another kind of smile producing consciousnesses also, that is the next page, not next column. You have the third column. You have, if you can see the third column, you can see functional minds. Functional minds. You have pleasure associated four kinds of functional. So this pleasure associated four kinds of functional. If Arahant produce smile or smiling, um, this is not towards the anularesu vattusu. That means it is actually those objects are not like skeleton and then the dead body and kind of ghost object, like so the other pleasurable object. But pleasurable object also, um, object is pleasurable, then somanasa sahagata minds or the consciousness arises in them, but those are only functional. Functional mean it doesn't do any kind of kusala or akusala thing. Only does the function. So that is another thing I told. Anyway, you can see now. Now you gonna study or learn resultant or unwholesome resultant consciousnesses. So let's move to there. Then you can understand unwholesome resultant consciousness. You have mainly 15 unwholesome resultant you have 7, and wholesome resultant you have 8. Then altogether 15 kind of rootless consciousnesses, but resultant consciousnesses. Okay, now let's move to our Attakatha. Okay, thank you. Now you can see kevalang hi akusala vipakam ahetuka meva. I think that is the place. Yeah. Okay. That's the thing. Kevalang hi akusala
Alobha.
vipakam ahetuka meva.
Sorry, Bhante.
Yeah.
Above alobha.
Alobha. That we finish, I think. So like this Mukhanimitta we finish, I think. So if you go to the at the end of that sentence, that paragraph, you can see Sampayutta Dhammanancha Visesi Asatipi Adas Taladisu Mukhanimittang via Nirusahang Vipakang Mukhang via Sausahang Kusalanti Veditabang. So I can remember this thing I explained there last week.
Yes, Bhante.
So that mean although there is no difference in the associated mental factors compared to the wholesome, the resultant consciousness should be understood as passive, nirusahan, like the reflection of a face in a mirror, while the wholesome are active like the face, like that. Given a simile. Okay, now let's move to the Kevalanghi Akusala Vipakam Ahetuka Meva. Now Kusala Vipaka we finished. That's the Sahetuka Hetu something. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Kevalanghi Akusala Vipakam Ahetuka Meva. Kevalan he mean actually indeed unwholesome ahe akusala vipaka, unwholesome resultant consciousnesses are rootless only, or entirely rootless. Ahetuka meva mean entirely rootless. This ahetuka akusala vipaka mean we went there. You have 7 kind of akusala vipaka, or the unwholesome resultant consciousnesses. For example, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and then receiving consciousness and the investigating consciousness. So altogether 7 kind. Now this explained in this way. So you know now kusala vipaka, the wholesome resultant, are always entirely resultant. Ahetuka, rootless. Tam chakku viññāṇaṁ, that means that is the chakku viññāna, eye consciousness, and sota gahana jivha kaya viññānam, and then the ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, and body consciousness, and sampatichana kiccha mano dhatu. So you know what is mano dhatu? Mano dhatu means that day we explained mano dhatu. Mano dhatu means these 3 are the mano dhatu. The Panchadwara Vajjana. This is the Pali, Panchadwara Vajjana. That means 5 adverting consciousness. And then you have, in the unwholesome side, you have receiving consciousness, as well as wholesome side also you have receiving consciousness, according to the object. If the object is unpleasurable object, then unwholesome evil minds arise. Evil mind is the result. And then if it is the pleasurable object, wholesome resultant minds arises. So like that. So you have, so basically you have Panchadwara Vajjana, Akusala Sampatichana mind, and the Kusala side Sampatichana mind, or the resultant unwholesome resultant receiving mind, and wholesome resultant receiving mind. So three 3 you have as a mind element. So this explain. Sampatichana kicca mano dhatu. This is the mind element. Sampatichana kicca, the function, actually the function of receiving the object, the mind element with the function of receiving the object. And then Santiranadi kicca panchattana manoviññāṇa dhatuti sattvavidam. So unwholesome resultant consciousnesses are 7 kind. So those are the 7 kind. The first one is chakku viññāṇa, or the eye consciousness taken to the mind, and then your nose consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, and the body consciousness. And sampatichana kicca manodha, the mind element with the function of receiving the object. And santirana kicca panchattana manoviññāṇa dhatu. Anyway, santirana mind is not the mind element, that is the mind consciousness element. Mind consciousness element. So the mind consciousness element, the function with the function of investigating the object. So those are panchattana. Panchattana mean santirana kicca di panchattana. That means one is the investigating this santirana mind. Santirana mind, kusala or the akusala side santirana mind. You have five kinds of functions. The first function is the investigate the object, but not 100%. Keep it in mind. It is superficially it investigate, and then you have again it does do the what call registration registrating function also. It usually it does. For example, after the impulsion minds in the chitta viti or the mental process, you can see after the impulsion mind movement, tadaramana, registration mind movement. This registration mind movement are always resultant, not the kusala or the akusala, unwholesome or wholesome, all are resultant. So resultant means you have in the beautiful resultant 8 kind of beautiful resultant, and then here also you have santirana 3 santirana in the rootless side. Santirana 3 mean you have akusala side 1 santirana or the investigating mind movement, and then you have kusala side 2 kinds of somanasa sagata, that means associated accompanied by joy, and other one is accompanied by equanimity. The 2 kinds of investigating, we saw that thing in the chitta chart or the consciousness chart. So altogether 3 here, and then 8 kind of resultant in the beautiful minds in the sensual plane. So altogether 11 kind of mind. You can that after the impulsion mind movement, then out of these 11 kind of tadaramana or the 11 kind of registrating mind movements comes into act after the impulsion. So 1 out of 1, 11 out of 1 of the 11 comes into act as a registrating mind movement. So here also, therefore, this santirana, the first function is the investigating, the other one is the registrating, and the other one, for example, it gives the rebirth of all the powerful states. All the powerful states actually gives the akusala side or the unwholesome resultant. You have santirana mind, investigating mind, that gives the rebirth linking. That is the result that gives the rebirth linking. So your unwholesome consciousnesses, for example, greed rooted, hatred rooted, and illusion rooted are not the resultant. So it doesn't give the result. those are accumulations only. Result cannot be given. So these are the result. So all there you cannot see the resultant consciousnesses in the rooted side. If they are rooted like having lobha, dosa, and moha, but they are rebirth linking, no any cause. That means bhavanga. They are bhavanga, no any cause. Cause means lobha, dosa, moha, no any lobha, dosa, moha. Anyway, alobha, dosa, moha, anyway not there. Lobha, dosa, moha also not. So therefore, 5 places. Here it says Panchathana means 5 places. Its function you can find out. So 5 places mean Panchathana mean here. The first one is the Santirana Kicha, that Santirana Di Kicha. It says Santirana so on. The function of the investigating and the like. So therefore, the first one is the Santirana, that means investigating. The second one is Tadaramana, registrating. And then you have again the rebirth linking, that means Patisandhi. And then Bhavanga. Bhavanga means after Patisandhi or the rebirth linking, there arises the Bhavanga or the life continuum. And then when they're gonna death taking place, then you have this Santirana, because Patisandhi and the Bhavanga Chuti are the same consciousnesses. Same consciousnesses mean it object is same and the mental factors are same. So therefore 4 places: Santirana, Tadaramana, Patisandhi, Bhavanga, Chuti. So then 5 places you have this kind of Santirana mind. The Santirana mind anyway included Mano Viññāṇa Dhatu, mind consciousness element. So therefore, Satta Vidang means you have 7 kind of consciousnesses in the Ahetuka or the result rootless unwholesome resultant side. Rootless unwholesome resultant side. Okay, take the Chitta chart into the mind, then it will be very easy. Tang Lakkhanādito kusala hetuka vipake vuttanayeneva veditabak. So that means they are actually, you should understand as the characteristic and so on for defining devices, characteristic, function, and then manifestation and the proximate cause like thing. Those are aforesaid in the case of rootless wholesome resultant. We finish that thing in the same way. In the same way, those things you should understand. And so yes, so that means we finished that paragraph, and then let's move to the next paragraph. Kevalanghi kusala vipakani itta majjatta rammanan. That means the kusala vipakani. Kevalang means exactly here. Kusala vipakani, wholesome resultant consciousnesses. Itta majjatta rammanani. This Mahatera, Buddhaghosa Mahatera or Venerable Buddhaghosa Mahatera gives the object of the Kusala Vipaka, the resultant consciousness. What are the object? Itta means pleasurable object. Other one is the Itta Majjatta Ramana. Itta Majjatta Ramana means pleasurable, neutral. Pleasurable, one is pleasurable object, the other one is pleasurable, not the painful. This is pleasurable but neutral. That's in that way you need to understand here. It's not the painful. It is still pleasurable but associated with the neutral object but pleasurable. And the other thing, imani anitta majjatta rammanani. Now actually this is the This is the comparison, like a comparison. Imani mean this unwholesome resultant consciousnesses take the object anitta. Anitta mean unpleasurable object, unpleasant. Object is unpleasant. And anitta majjataramana. Anitta majjataramana mean unpleasant neutral. Unpleasant neutral. That means not that, not actually it is not as pleasant neutral. Pleasant neutral, not the pleasant neutral, unpleasant neutral. So that is the thing you need to understand. Tanicha upekka. So that understand very clearly. That means this wholesome resultant consciousnesses we actually used. You learned this thing in the previous last week. So these wholesome resultant consciousness have the object as pleasurable and pleasurable neutral. And these unwholesome resultant, rootless, but that is also rootless, have the object as undesirable or unpleasant and unpleasant neutral. Okay. Tanicha upekka sukha somanasa behedato tividani. Imani dukkha upekka vasena duvidani. Actually, this is the comparison. This is the comparison with the wholesome as well as wholesome and unwholesome resultant comparison. So now it says tanicha, that means this ittamajjatara, or the kusala vipaka, the wholesome resultant. Tani mean that kusala vipakani, tani kusala vipakani. We want to say tani kusala vipakani. That means that wholesome resultant minds upekka sukha somanasa behedato tividane. They are of three kinds. Tividane mean three kinds. How? The first one is upekka, accompanied by upekka, and equanimity accompanied by sukha, that means the pleasure, and accompanied with somanasa, joy. So in that way, you have three kinds. Three kinds. But imani means this akusala, that means the akusala vipakani. Imani akusala vipakani, that means this kind of unwholesome resultant, dukkha upekka vasena duvidani. Those are of two kinds. Dukkha, that means the painful, and equanimity, associated with the pain and the equanimity. So therefore it is two kinds. Etahi. Now etahi means in the case of unwholesome resultant. Etha, that means in the case of unwholesome resultant side, kaya viññāṇaṃ dukkha sahagataneva. That we studied those things. Kaya viññāṇaṃ, that means body consciousness in the ahetuka akusala side. Ahetuka akusala side, dukkha sahagatani. Dukkha sahagatameva. Those are only dukkha. Dukkha means the painful, associated with the pain. Sesani upekka sahagatani. Then one is associated with the pain, the body consciousness, and the other all six, sesani mean other six, upekka sahagatani, accompanied by equanimity. So for example, upekka sahagata chakku viññāna, upekka sahagata sota viññāna. That means the mind accompanied by equanimity, eye consciousness, or the ear consciousness accompanied by equanimity, and the nose consciousness accompanied by equanimity, tongue consciousness accompanied by equanimity, and then body consciousness accompanied by pain. And the other one is sampatichana, the receiving consciousness accompanied by equanimity, and then investigating mind, or the santirana consciousness accompanied by equanimity. Like that, all are upekka sahagat, accompanied by equanimity. Sacha tesu upekka hina dukkham viya nati tikhina. Na tikhina mean, very sharp. Na ati tikhina. Ati tikhina mean very sharp. Na ati tikhina mean not very sharp. That means, for example, the So among them in what we learn here, sa mean sa cha tesu upekka hina. Sa upekka tesu mean among the upekka associated with the consciousnesses, associated with the equanimity, among them sa upekka, this upekka, that means this equanimity mental factor, hina. Hina mean very inferior, that means not prominent, not very prominent. Dukkhangviya nati tikina. But dukkhangviya nati tikina mean if you see some painful, oh, what called grief mental factor, grief or the painful mental factor, then that is very rough, very rough. That is very rough, very rough. But this Dukkhangviya nati tikina, I mean that is the thing. If it is dukkha vedana mental factor, that is very sharp. But here it's not very sharp. Even you cannot understand this thing while you are discerning. That's the thing. He explained this thing. And iteresu mean the iteresu mean here the wholesome resultant mindsets, wholesome resultants consciousnesses are upekka, that upekka. That means in the wholesome side you have upekka, in the unwholesome side also you have upekka. But this upekka, unwholesome side upekka, they say, our teachers say, ancient teachers say, this unwholesome side upekka, try to understand this unwholesome side upekka. It is actually, you can discern, but while discerning, you can discern it has very sharp mental factor, like a painful mental factor in the painful side or the unwholesome painful side. So, but in the case of kusala side, kusala or the wholesome consciousnesses, iteresu mean that among the wholesome consciousnesses, this upekka, there are also upekka you have, this upekka or the equanimity, panita. Panita mean very superior. That means you can discern this thing. You can discern this thing very, very easily. Sukhangviya natitikina. But if you see the sukha mental factor, it is more prominent. Natitikina mean, sukha mental factor is very prominent. That means it is very sharp. But here, the upekka, you can see, but it is not prominent as sukha vedana. This upekka vedana is, this is neutral vedana mental factor or the feeling mental factor. This is not very sharp. So every time the practical side explained. And iti imesang sattannang akusala vipakanang purimanancha solasannang kusala vipakanang vasena kamavacharang vipaka viññāṇaṃ te visati vidham. Te visati means 23. 23 kinds of, you can see in the sensual plane, you can see the resultant consciousness, even though they are rootless or rooted, they are anyway altogether 23 kinds. What are they? How you can understand that? Sattannang akusala vipakana. You have 7 kind of unwholesome resultant. And then purimanancha solasannang kusala vipakanam vasena. Then we studied this thing last week. So solasa means 16. So 16 mean here you have purimanancha solasannang kusala vipakanam. Then that means in the beautiful side you have kusala vipaka. Vipaka means wholesome resultant. Kusala vipaka. 8 kind of. And then here also in the unrooted or the rootless side, you have 8 kind of resultant, wholesome resultant. Try to understand. Altogether 16. Here 8 in the rootless side, and then rooted side also resultant you have 8. So 8 plus 8 altogether solvers, or the 16 kinds. So then 16 and 7, how many? Then 23. So they explain in this way. Okay, this is the explanation there. So let's move to the Rupavachara. Okay, before that, we need to go to 453. What says in the Mahatika? Okay, go to the Mahatika. This is the 453. We finish. Sorry, this is the still we are the so it's the kind of factors we may have. Okay, then 453 mean Kamavachara Mevati, like that. But altogether we don't need to go. And but moha eka hetukam. Let's see like that. Okay, you can see paragraph starts moheka hetukam chittang. Then when duidameva hoti, paragraph starts with duidameva hoti, and then next to that you can see moha eka hetukam chitta. Okay, so I told in the case of unwholesome, 12 kinds of unwholesomes, in the left side, if you check the chitta chart or the consciousness chart, in the left side, the first column you have unwholesome consciousness, taking the evil object, right, or the unpleasurable object, and then they make them the beings make if being ended up with greed, then greed rooted, greed plus illusion, right, and then greed rooted. And then if they take the object as real, like it is the if they take the object as the hated one, or with anger, then there arises hatred mind mental factor and illusion mental factor, both together. But in the case of moha mean the illusion rooted two kinds of consciousnesses: uddacha sahagata, upekka sahagata, uddacha chittang, uddachang chittang. That what is called, what is that? The other one is the upekka sahagata vichikicha chittang. What is the in English? Upekka sahagata mean the mind, uddacha, the restless mind associated with the accompanied with the by the restless mind accompanied by equanimity, and then the doubt mind accompanied by equanimity. Those are the two. Only you have moha, or the illusion or delusion or ignorance mental factor. So in the case of, I told before also this thing, in the case of greed rooted and hatred rooted, you have, in the case of greed rooted, you have greed and illusion. That means you have inter rooted dominating factor there. And then in the case of hatred rooted, two kinds of hatred rooted minds you have, unwholesome side. There are also hatred or ill will plus illusion you have as a mental factors. Ill will plus illusion. Then you have interrooted dominating. Interrooted dominating, but illusion is not the dominating factor. In the case of greed rooted, greed is the dominating. And in the case of hatred rooted, hatred is the dominating factor. But here in the case of this doubt and the consciousness associated with the doubt consciousness and the restlessness or the agitation consciousness, you have only illusion. illusion. So here explain this illusion consciousness, about this illusion consciousness, that these facts are more important for you. So then we just read this out. Moheka hetukang chittang mulanta virahato atimulham vichikiccha vichikichuddaccha yogato chanchalanchati upekka sagatameva hoti. Okay, what is the meaning? Moheka hetukang chitta. That means moha eka hetukang chitta. That is the if it divided. Moha eka hetukang chitta. That means the consciousness accompanied with the moha or the illusion, that is only one cause. One cause. Mulantara virahato. Mula antara virahito. Antara mean inter. So mula antara virahita mean it doesn't have inter root cause dominating feature. Inter root cause dominating feature. Virahita mean no. Not having inter root cause dominating feature. So therefore it is atimulha. So only moha. So therefore this mind atimulha means excess in moha in excess, or the illusion in excess, that mind. Because of that, therefore it says vichikicha uddacha yogato. Now sometimes you have this mind with moha or the illusion. Sometimes you have vichikicha, the restlessness or agitation mental factor. And sometimes you have vichikicha mean the doubt, right? Doubt or the skepticism. Doubt mental factor you have. Sometimes you have agitation or the restlessness mental factor. So because of that reason, chanchala mean it's not steady, not steady. So those minds are not steady because you have no interrooted dominating cause, interroot cause dominating feature you don't have. Therefore, it is excess in illusion. Because of that reason, those minds are unsteady. Therefore, upekka sahagatameva hoti. Because of this unsteadiness, no kind of somanasa sahagata mind arises in the case of illusion minds. So all are accompanied by equanimity. So na tassa kadachipi sabhava tikkata. Again say na tassa kadachipi sabhava tikkata. So by nature, sabhava tikkata, by nature, it has no anything sharp. No anything sharp mean no any kind of like the interroot cause dominating feature. Therefore, no any it doesn't have anything sharp. Sabhava tikkata na atti mean nothing. Aramanehi sansapana vasena vikkepana vasena cha pavattamanasa chitta dvayasa kidise kicche sabhava tikkataya. Now aramanehi sansapana vasena cha vikkepana vasena. Sansapana mean, what is the meaning of sansapana? That mean these two consciousnesses. That means one consciousness associated with the agitation, and the other consciousness or the restlessness, and the other consciousness associated with the doubt. So these two consciousnesses occur respectively by way of doubt and the restlessness in the object. Therefore, in what kind of function should they be kept in sharp and prompting? sabhavatikataya, sharp and prompting, no kind of sharp and prompting like thing. Utsahe tabbataya va bhavitabbam. So, and again, prompting, utsahe tabbataya bhavitabbam mean no any prompting kind of thing also. No sharp thing, that mean no interroot cause dominating factor also. And then again, you don't have any kind of utsahe tabba, that means prompting, influence, somebody influence, or yourself influence again and again, no kind of thing. Why? uh, because they are upeka only, they have mental as a mental factor upeka. And again, upeka, not only upeka, the main thing is no interroot cause dominating feature. So mainly because of that reason, it always associated with the upeka or the equanimity. So therefore, no any prompting kind of mindsets. For example, in the case of greed rooted, you have prompting. For example, prompting mean somanas first mind, somanasa sahagata dittigata sampayukta asankarika chitta. What is that? The consciousness accompanied by uh, joy and associated with the um, wrong view. This is unprompted, and the second one is prompted. So, but in the case of hatred rooted also, you have prompting and unprompting feature. Here, no any prompting or unprompting causes, because no any kind of interroot cause dominating factor. Tasma na tat sankar bedo ati. So therefore, no any kind of prompting and unprompting kind of thing. Anyesu akusala chittesu labhamanampi uddachang visesato etteva balavan. You know now. Anyesu akusala chittesu. When you produce other kind of greed rooted or hatred rooted minds, but this uddacha labhamanampi uddachang visesato etteva balavan. The uddacha, or the restlessness or agitation, that is actually okay. In the case of other akusala kind of minds, you have uddacha. You have uddacha mean always, you know, the what kind of that is what is called akusala sadharana. Akusala sadharana mean that is also universal. Four kinds of mental factor, universal. Four kinds of akusala side, unwholesome universals. You have unwholesome universals. For example, moha, ahirika, anottapta, uddacha. Moha mean, you know, illusion. Ahirika, shameless, and then anottapta, fearless to the object, and then you have uddacha, that means agitation or the restlessness. They are also you have. But here, etteva balavan, visesato etteva balavan, here you don't have um, opposite factor. Opposite, that means interroot dominating factor you don't have. So therefore, here you have excess of uddacha excess. Tato eva sampyutta dhammesu pradhanam hutta pavattati iti idameva uddachena visesetva butta. Uddang uddacha sampayuttanti. That means actually, this uddacha is a mental factor, which can be found in all consciousnesses, unwholesome consciousnesses. Unwholesome consciousness, you can see this, but that means in the moha chatuka, right? Moha ahirika anuttata uddacha, like, but there in each case one dominate. In the one dominate there. One dominate mean sometimes greed dominate, sometimes hatred dominate. Here, nevertheless, in this consciousness, that means upeka sahagata uddacha mind, that this consciousness, restlessness or the agitation is the prominent among the all other mental factors. So therefore, having taken distinct restlessness here, visesato uddacham visesato etteva balavan, having taken this distinct restlessness, this mind is called restlessness associated with. So in this way, you need to understand the why this uddacha sampayukta like thing Buddha taught. So other minds also you have uddacha, but there uddacha is not the prominent thing. Other mental factor, that means other causes are the prominent. Here only prominent one is the uddacha. Therefore, this mind is unsteady. Two kinds of minds are unsteady. Tatahi palyam. Palyam mean in the Dhamma Sangani. Palyam is not the Pali language. I told you this is not the Pali language. Uh, this is not the Pali language. Palyam mean the canon. Pali canon. Pali canon. Pali canon is the Pali language. Sorry, Pali canon is the Palyam. And then Attakatha Attham, Buddha told. Pali Atta. Pali and Atta mean Pali mean the canon and the Atta mean the Attakatha or the commentary. So Tata he mean this has said definitely like the meaning. Palyam, that mean in the Dhamma Sangani, Ida Saropato Uddachang Agatam. Evan asadharana padhana dhamma vasena moha moolang vichikicha sampayuttam uddacha sampayuttanti duvidam vuttanti dattabba. It says tata. Indeed, in the text Dhamma Sangani, how restlessness is given. Here also it has been given in the similar way. Sarupato mean in the similar way it has been given. So delusion rooted are of two kinds. What is that? It is the associated with doubt and associated with restlessness or the agitation. Actually, now evam asadharana padhana dhamma vasena moha moolam. That means asadharana mean uncommon. In the terms of uncommon and foremost. Padhana mean foremost. Asadharana mean uncommon and foremost dhamma, the mental factor, phenomena. Those are in terms of uncommon and foremost phenomena when compared with the greed rooted and the hatred rooted. So therefore, these minds are explained by the Buddha, Vichikicha Sampayuttam and Uddhacha Sampayuttam, Duvidam. Two kinds. The first one is the mind associated with the doubt, and the other mind associated with the restlessness. So, like that, in the Dhamma Sangani, it has been given in such an explanation. So, what is this asannittanam? So here, in the case of, you can see in the left column, you can see actually This is the akusala mind, right? Akusala mind, there you have, you may see that asannitthana and what called the vikhepa. Asannitthana means sansayo. Asannitthana mean, what is the meaning? Doubt. Asannitthana mean the doubt. And vikhepo, what is the vikhepa mean? The avupasamo, that is the restlessness. Restlessness. So, avupasamo bhanta tati atto. Bhanta mean, what is the bhanta mean? Shaking. Bhanta. Avupasama mean restlessness or shaking mind. That is the meaning. Then again explain, Taidang dwadasampi akusala chittang chasu arammanesu yangva tangva alambitva upeka sahagata ahetuka kiriya manoviññāna dahata nantarang kaya dwaradihi tihi dwarehi kaya dwara, vachi dwara, mano dwara, like tihi dwarahi, 3 kinds of doors. Kaya kammadi vasena yatarahang panati patadi kamma pata vasena cheva kamma vasena cha uppajjati iti veditabba. And now another explanation. You know now, taidang dwadasampi akusala chittang, this kind of these unwholesome consciousnesses of 12 kinds arise, you know, taking one object at a time among 6 sense doors, next to the functional mind consciousness element. You know, that is rootless and accompanied by the equanimity. Well, here, actually, if you go to Chitta Viti, you can see this, okay, Panchadwara Chitta Viti. So first one is your bhavanga, the past bhavanga you have, and then bhavanga chalana, bhavanga vibrating, and then ceasing bhavanga or the bhavanga interrupt, and then you have pancha dwara vajjana. In the 5 sense doors, you have pancha dwara vajjana. In the 5 sense doors, when the object comes into the, or when the object focuses in the for example in the eye sensitivity or ear sensitivity, like that, then in the mind, in the heart, there arises panchadwara vajjana, the 5 door adverting consciousness. You know, this 5 door adverting consciousness mean it is the upekka sahagata ahetuka kiriya manoviññānu dhatu. That means that another name, right? Another name of this panchadwara vajjana is the upekka sahagata. That is the this mind accompanied by the equanimity. Upekka sahagata ahetuka kiriya. This is rootless, and then kiriya, functional. Manoviññāna dhatu. This belongs to the manoviññāna dhatu. Manoviññāna dhatu means mind consciousness element. Because sorry, this is the mind, not the manoviññāna dhatu, mano dhatu, right? Mano dhatu. But when you go towards, then chakku viññāna, or the eye consciousness arises, and then some patichana, or the receiving consciousness arises, and then santirana, investigating consciousness arises, and the vattapana, determining mindset arises. And then after this determining minds, there arise javana. Javana means the impulsion mind moment. So then, you know, this is the Panchadwara Chittaviti. Then you have 7 javana and 2 kinds of Tadaramana, or we can say that is the 2 kinds of registration mind movement. And then that Chittaviti finish, and then Bhavanga arises in the heart base. And then thereafter there arise Manodwara Chittaviti, or the mind-mental process. This is the 5-door mental process. So, and then there arise mind-mental process, you know, I told every time this thing. Yeah, good. So in the case of mind-mental process, in the fourth or fifth mind-mental process, for example, here, then the bhavanga, and then you have manodwara vajana, and then seven javana 1, 2, 3, 4, like, and then tadaramana, two kinds of tadaramana. And then again that chitta with finish, that means that mental process finish, and then bhavanga comes in the heart base, because this is the life continuum. So now uh, now when you see the fourth or fifth mind or mental process like that, then you can understand very clearly by the javana. You object understand it, understands the object very clearly, very clearly. And then there arise a hatred or illusion or kind of greed according to the object. So this is the way. But now it explains, you have manodhara vajana here. Manodhara vajana means that is the mind of adverting consciousness. Advert means that gives, that advert the object. Here, therefore, this manodhara vajana, what is called upekka sahagata. This is actually upekka sahagata. Upekka sahagata means accompanied by equanimity. And then ahetuka, this mind actually, this mind panchadhara vajana and manodhara vajana and hasitupada, arahant smile producing mind, those are also functional. But this manodhara vajana is the manoviññāna dhatu, panchadhara vajana is mano dhatu. So now, therefore, it explains this Vattapana. In the case of Fido mental process, you have Vattapana, determining mind. Determining mind. Vattapana means determines the object, not so powerfully and fully. It understands the object very superficially. It determines the object very superficially. So anyway, so that determining mind also, this manodhara vajana, right? Manodhara vajana means mind to adverting. So therefore, now you have in the five do mental process also, you have manodhara vajana and panchadhara vajana. In the case of mind to mental process, you have only manodhara vajana, no five do adverting consciousness. So now, therefore, this manodhara vajana mind. So now explain in this way. In this way mean upekka sahagata ahetuka kriya manoviññānu dhatu. I explained. Upekka sahagata mean equanimity, accompanied by equanimity, that mind. Ahetuka rootless, and kriya functional, rootless functional, and manoviññāna dhatu. Manoviññāna dhatu means mind consciousness element, not the mind element. Not the mind element. Mind element are the panchadhara vajana and two kinds of sampaticchana, receiving minds. Okay, now you know now what is the explanation here, and then let's move to the here you can see again Vattapana, determining mind, determining consciousness. You can see determining mind mean that determining mind I have to before javana, right? Before the javana, you have determining mind. This determining mind actually is equal to mindo adverting consciousness, mano dwara vajana. But here Buddha gave another name for that. It is still manodhara vajana, arises in the heart base. But why Buddha called in this way? This is anyway panchadwara chittaviti, or the five-do mental process. In the case of five-do mental process, then Buddha explained here as vattapana. But in the pure mind-o mental processes, Buddha explained that as mind-o or the manodhara vajana, mind-o adverting consciousness. So you need to understand this, and then let's move to the Atthakatha. Okay, it is Tika, Mahatika. So you can see now, Taidang Dwadasampi Akusala Chittang Chasu Dwaresu, sorry, Chasu Aramnesu Yangva tangva alambitva upeka sahagata ahetuka kiriya manoviññāna dhatunang anyatarang kaya dwaradihi tvihi dwarehi kaya kammadi vasena yatharahang panati patadi kammapata vasena cheva kamma vasena cha uppajjati iti veditabba. That means these unwholesome consciousnesses of 12 kinds arise taking one object at a time among your six sense doors next to the functional mind consciousness element that is rootless and accompanied by equanimity. As I said before, that means that is the Vattapana and Manodara Vajana mind. Vattapana and Manodara Vajana. Another name, right? These are the another name, similar name as bodily action and in the body, speech, and the mind. Three doors. You have body door, speech door, and the mind door. Verbal door and the mind door, and they arise as a cause of kamma pata vasena panati patadi kamma pata vasena. Kamma pata means cause of kamma based on the killing living being. Panati patadi kamma pata vasena cheva and kamma vasena, just kamma, right? Kamma and kamma pata are the different, right? Kamma and kamma pata are the different. So then and then they arise as cause of kamma and the kamma as well. And when one does the killing living beings and the evil action. So now what is the kamma and what is the kamma pata? Kamma pata mean actually kamma pata definitely gives the next rebirth. That means the seeds for the next rebirth definitely give. But kamma sometimes if it is powerful with the chetana powerful, then it gives, but sometimes no. That's the kamma and kamma pata. And now, so there you have akusala, 10 kinds of akusala kamma pata. That means 10 kinds of unwholesome cause of kamma and 10 kinds of wholesome cause of kamma also. So I explain those things in the Salayika Sutta according to the Buddha's Dhamma Desana. Okay, now therefore, Tattha, another important thing here, Tattha mean in this case, Tapetta Uddhacha Sahagatang, Sesang Eka Dasavidampi, Chatusu Apayesu, Patisanding Deti. Okay, now say in this way, Tattha Tapetta Uddhacha Sahagatang. Then now in this Uddhacha Sagata, or the agitation mind with the other 12, other 11, right? Other 11, that means 8 kind of greed-rooted evil mind, evil consciousnesses, and then 2 kinds of hatred-rooted unwholesomes, and then 2 kinds of moha-rooted or the illusion-rooted minds. So altogether you have 12. Now, among these 12, 11, it says 11 is gonna give, 11 are gonna give rebirth linking in the 4 powerful states. But this Uddhacha doesn't give, right? Uddhacha mind only, it doesn't give. So, tapeta Uddhacha Sahagatam, sesam ekadasavidam pi, Chatusu apayesu patisandin deti. That is the explanation. So that means except this, the consciousness associated with the restlessness, other all 11 kind of unwholesome give the birth in 4 powerful states. That means 4 powerful states mean in the ghost plane, demon plane, and the animal plane and the hell. So those are the 4 powerful states. Pavatti vipakam sugatiyampi. If they reborn in the case of happy destinations, pavatti vipakam, in the course of life, it definitely gives the result. That's the mean. Uddhacha sahagatam pana pavatti vipakam mevati. This is very important. So in the case of Uddacha mind means the mind associate the restlessness or the agitation. It doesn't give any kind of rebirth linking, but it gives the result in the course of life. The pavatti vipaka means course of life up to the death. So that is very important. Ettaha. So here it has said in this way, has been said, Kingpana karanam sabba dubbalang vichikicha sampayuttang patisandin deti. Adhimokka sabbhavato tato balavantampi uddacha sagatang na detiti. Now the question asked in this way. So what is that? In this case, what is the reason that the doubt mind, which is weak in all aspects, sabba dubbala, which is weak in all aspects, patisandin it gives the rebirth linking in the four powerful states. Adhimokka sabbhavato tato balavantampi uddacha sagatang na detiti. But this uddacha sagata mind, or the restlessness accompanied mind, it is more powerful. Why? Adhimokka sabbhavato. That means adhimokka chetasika, decision chetasika, or the decision mental factor includes there in the uddacha sagata mind. But in the case of doubt mind, you don't have adhimokka or the decision. So, but why it doesn't give the patisandhi, uddacha? But the weaker than that, this doubt mind, it gives the patisandhi, but restless mind, it doesn't give the patisandhi or the rebirth linking. So, what is the explanation? Dasanena pahatabbesu autatta. The answer has been given here. Dasanena pahatabbesu autatta. Vutta mean, what is the vutta mean? It is said. Autatta mean because of it has not said, right? Because of it has not said. Dasanena pahatabbesu. What is dasanena? Dasanena pahatabbesu. That dasanena pahatabbe means dasanena pahatabbesu mean there the sotapatti magga jnana, what is called dasanena pahatabba dhamma. Sotapanna magga jnana. Sotapanna magga jnana means the path knowledge of the stream entry. So this path knowledge of the stream entry, this doubt anyway, you can destroy. You can destroy totally doubt. But Uddacha doesn't destroy. Uddacha destroy in the Arahant path knowledge. So here, therefore they explain this is the thing, right? Dasanena pahatabbesu means the sotapanna magga jnana. It doesn't said in the sotapanna magga jnana. Idang hi patisandin dentang apayesu dadaya apaya gamaniyancha dasane pahatabbanti tattavuchaya nacha vuttam. Actually, if you said like that, for example, now dasanena idang hi patisandin dentang. For example, if the uddacha mind, right? If the uddacha mind gives the patisandhi or the rebirth linking, then it says this sotapanna people also, sotapanna Arya noble one also, are reborn in the four state. But Buddha doesn't tell like that. So it gives the birth linking. It could be found in the powerful worlds, and what has been abandoned by Sotapatti path is directing to the powerful states. Then you can say like that. But that has not been taught by the Buddha. Na Vutta, not been taught by the Buddha. Na Vutta, nacha na Vutta. Tasma patisanding na deti. Because of that reason, no any kind of rebirth linking in the case of Uddhacha mind. Pavatti vipakadanang panas na sakka patikipitum. Actually, results in the course of life cannot be denied. Cannot be denied because it definitely it may be definitely it gives the result in the course of life. No patisandhi, but course of life you have result. That is said in the Patisambhida Magga also. Patisambhida Magge, Patisambhida Vibhange, Uddacha Vibhanga means the Patisambhida Magga, that is the Vibhanga book, second Abhidhamma book, it says in this way, Uddacha Sagate Jnanam Dhamma Patisambhida, Tassa Vipake Jnanam Atta Patisambhida. So it is in the Vibhanga number 730. Attato samanam vachanato. Attato samanam. Okay. Now, Uddacha sahagate jnanam dhamma patisambhida. It says in the Patisambhida Vibhanga, the knowledge in the the discerning knowledge, right? The discerning knowledge of the agitated mind or the restless mind is called Dhamma Patisambhida. You know, now Dhamma Patisambhida and Atta Patisambhida, I started in the case of this Panya section. You know, now Dhamma mean the cause, Atta mean the result. In the case of according to the Patisambhida, all right? Atta Dhamma Patisambhida mean the cause. Atta Patisambhida mean the reason. Sorry, the result. So because of that reason, it says the discerning knowledge of the agitation mind is the Dhamma Patisambhida, right? The discerning knowledge of agitation mind is Dhamma Patisambhida. That is the cause. Then discerning knowledge, its result is called Atta Patisambhida. That means if you can discern this result, right? Results is the Atta Patisambhida. Then so therefore we those are Attato Samanam. Attato Samanam means the meaning wise it is the same. So therefore we can say that we can deny, right? We can deny the result in course of life of the restless mind. So keep in mind. Okay, then let's move to 454 paragraph at the end of 454. They are asking some important question in the Mahatika. What is that? Kasmapana sahetukasa ahetuko vipako hotiti. What's the meaning? Why does there exist rootless resultant consciousnesses to a rooted one? So the explanation is like that. The answer, Tattha karanam buttameva. Actually, before karanam buttameva mean this has been said in Mahasatipatthana Sutta and many even in Sakkapanya Sutta, Samanyapala Sutta also. This has been said, the answer. So, but here also given with the two sentences in this way. Kincha arammana mattesu panchasu viññānesu yatha alobadhi sampayogo na sambhavati evam mandakicchesu sampatichana santiranesu ti hetunang uppatya asambhavatopi tesang ahetukata datthabbam. Before that, if you can go to the Fido mental process, so then you can understand very clearly. So this is the Fido mental process. We choose the Chakku Dwar or the eye door. So you can see in the eye door, before touching the object of the eye door, or the touching of the object or the impinging of the color object or to the eye sensitivity or the eye translucency, that now in the heart, firstly in the heart, your bhavanga, past bhavanga, it become shaking, vibrating. That is the bhavanga chalana, and then thereafter bhavanga arrest. Bhavanga arrest happen. Then there are after that, Pancha Dwara Vajjana mind movement arises. Pancha Dwara Vajjana mind movement means 5-do adverting consciousness. So this 5-do adverting consciousness, here it says another name. Another name means this belongs to the ahetuka or the rootless resultant. Sorry, rootless functional minds. So you know you have rootless functional 3 minds. So first is the Pancha Dwara Vajjana, the second is the Mano Dwara Vajjana, the other is the Hasitupal, the smile producing consciousness, especially to the what called unpleasant object. To an unpleasant object, there arises smile in the Arahant. So therefore, this is what is called Hasitupada. That means smile producing consciousness. That is also functional. So 3 functional consciousnesses, but in Visuddhimagga, this says in this way because the Visuddhimagga, it has been taken in from the Dhamma Sangani book. So it says in this way, ahetuka Kiriya, ahetuka kiriya mind, ahetuka kiriya chittang, ahetuka kiriya chittang. Then that means this is the rootless functional mind. Ahetuka kiriya, actually chittang means here this is the mano dhatu. You know, this is mano dhatu. So therefore, ahetuka kiriya mano dhatu, not the mano viññāṇa dhatu. So this is ahetuka kiriya mano viññāṇa dhatu, or we can say that is the pancha dwara vajjana, 5-do adverting consciousness. So this 5-do adverting consciousness takes the object from the eye. When the color object spinges to the eye sensitivity, then as soon as at the same time it takes this object, it takes the same object with the pancha dwara vajjana. So that, but no eye consciousness arises in the eye door, but before that your pancha dwara vajjana arises in the heart base. So that therefore the first mind movement in the chittaviti is the pancha dwara vajjana, not the eye consciousness. Before that means before happen or occurs the eye consciousness, chakku viññāṇa, there arises panchadwara vajjana in the heart base. Keep it in mind, that is very important. And then there arises eye consciousness in the eye door, and thereafter you have sampatichana, that is the receiving consciousness, and then santirana, that is the investigating consciousness. But that is also the name different name has been given in the Visuddhimagga as well as the other Atthakatha also. So for example, the sampatichana means the receiving consciousness. But what is the meaning? That means, you know, this sampatichana is the ahetuka side or the rootless side. In the chitta chart, you know this is the rootless, and then again this is rootless as well as this is upekka sahagata, accompanied by equanimity. So ahetuka upekka sahagata mano dhatu. That is the explanation given in Mano Dhatu means, you know, as the Pancha Dwara Vajjana, this also belongs to the Mano Dhatu, not the Mano Viññāṇa Dhatu. After that, after this mind movement, all other are Mano Viññāṇa Dhatu. So now you know, then receiving consciousness takes the object from the Pancha Dwara Vajjana, and then Santirana mind arises in the heart base. After breaking down of the Sampatichana, then Santirana mind arises. That is the investigating consciousness. And then Vattapana. What is this Vattapana mean actually? This is the mind to adverting consciousness. But relating to the Pio Fido mental process, therefore Buddha explained here the same mind mental process as Vattapana, right? Or Vattabana. So there is the determining consciousness. And then you have 7 javana. Javana 1, first javana, second javana, third javana, fourth javana, fifth javana, sixth javana, seventh javana. And then you have taking same object, color object. So there arises the tadaramana, or the registrating mind movement. The first registration mind movement, and you have second registration mind movement. After that, no registrations. Therefore, bhavanga comes in the heart base. This is the Fido mental process. Here, this any kind of consciousness cannot take this object very clearly. For example, receiving, adverting, and it adverts, but not fully adverts. And then Chakku Viññāṇa, in the Panchadhara Vajjana, it adverts, but not fully advert. And then Chakku Viññāṇa, it takes the object, color object, but cannot judge what is the real object. Only color can be taken. And then Sampatichana also, color can be taken, only color, but it is also unable to take the object fully. So Santiran also same. It investigates the object, but not fully. Very little function there. And Vattapana, or the Vattabana, determining mind movement or the determining consciousness, it also determine, but not fully. And in the Javan also same. Javan also, because they also didn't fully understand the object, so then Javan also cannot, and the Tadaraman also cannot. So here now, therefore this says, therefore those are ahetuka. Ahetuka mean because you can't, any mind movement of this mental process cannot judge the object very clearly, vividly. It cannot. So because of that reason, they are not arisen. They are not arisen any kind of hetu, or the what called causes. So for example, no lobha, or the no greed, no hatred, no illusion, and no non-illusion, no non-hatred, no non-craving. So therefore, no any kind of arising of hetu here, but therefore, but the person is now rooted, and then rootless consciousnesses are arisen in the heart base, as well as in the case of another 5 sense doors also. So this is very important. Therefore, it explained in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta Atthakatha. You may remember this is a strange. This object is this mind. This is strange, and then this is temporary. Like that, it explained. Temporary mean tavakalika. Tavakalika, like explanation there. I explained this very clearly there. So now you can understand any the first mind movement and the second mind movement, even up to the Tadaramana, object is not very vivid, not very clear, not very evident. So because of that reason, they are not arising any kind of hetu, or the lobha dosa moha, alobha dosa moha. That is the reason. So now let's move to the okay. Therefore, now after first mind mental process. Okay, go to the mind mental process also, please. This is the then bhavanga, then the manodhara vajjana arises. Mindo adverting consciousness. So this mindo adverting consciousness, then take the atita object, or the past object, which is taken by the Ido, and the mindo, sorry, panchadara vajjana, and there rises javana here. The first javana, second javana, like that up to the seventh javana, and then two kind of tadaramana or the registrating mind movement, and then again bhavanga. This is the then second kind of manodara viti. Manodara viti, or the actually this is the first few manodara chitta viti, or the first few mindo mental process. But this mind of mental process also cannot judge the object completely. So then fifth mind movement onwards, sorry, fifth mental process or mind of mental process onwards, only you can understand what is this object very clearly. And then there arises whatever, if you take it as evil or resentment, then hatred mindset arises. And if you crave to that object, then the craving mindset arises. And then if you are deluded towards the object, then the delusion minds arises. And in the same way for the wholesome side also, if you are non-craving to the object, then the non-craving non-craving uh, mindset arises. That is a wholesome, like that. So therefore now you can understand very clearly. It explained in the Atthakatha in this way. So try to maintain your these kind of mental processes after drawing this kind of mental process by taking note from here, and try to keep in mind, deep mind. That's very important to practice this thing. Okay, therefore it says in this way, tatta karana uttameva. The reason has been said in this way. Kincha aramanabhipata mattesu panchasu viññānesu yatha alobhadi sampayogo na sambhavati. That means when the consciousness of five sense doors arise with the spinning of the relevant object, non-greed, so on, causes don't occur in the mind. Why? I explain because the reason is evam mandatara mandakicchesu. Mandakicche mean the having subordinate function of the receiving and investigating consciousness also, mind movements also, that do not accompany with greed, hatred, illusion, and non-greed, non-hatred, non-illusion. So you need to understand this thing in this way. So that is the thing. And then you need to know this thing also. Why Mano Dhatu, Buddha explained why Mano Dhatu and Mano Viññāna Dhatu, like two things. Then explain the next paragraph. So what is the Mano Viññānato Uppajjana Visittha Manana Kicchanam Abhavato, the second one. Abhavato Mano Matta Dhatu Mano Dhatu. Again, Mano Viññānato Uppajjana Visittha Manana Kicchanam Abhavato Mano Matta Dhatu Mano Dhatu. What is the meaning? Then now ask in this way. Mano Viññāna, what is the Mano Dhatu? Mano Dhatu, three mind moments. So for example, Panchadwara Vajjana, five-door adverting consciousness, and then you have rootless akusala, or the rootless unwholesome sampatichana mind moment, and then rootless kusala, or the wholesome sampatichana mind moment. Those are the manodhatu. So manodhatu, and then manodhatu, yeah. So why mano dhatu mean? What is the definition of mano dhatu? This is the definition. Mano viññānato uppajjana visittha manana kiccanam abhavato. Now there is no advanced kind of mental performance. Manana kitta mean mental performance, no advanced kind. Visitta mean the advanced kind. So there is no advanced kind of mental performance. Uppajjana abhavato. Mental performance, mental performance of cognizing. Cognizing. That means, the mind always cognizes the object. So therefore, what is the mental performance of mind? If you take mind separately, then the mental performance of cognizing. That is the mind, the function of the mind. But here, to the Mano Dhatu means aforesaid three mind movements. So this Mano Dhatu, it has actually mere mental function only. Mano Matta Dhatu, mere mental function. So therefore, those elements are called Mano Dhatu. Mano Dhatu means mind element, not the mind consciousness element. So this is the thing. So that means, in the case of especially some Patichana mind movement and the Panchadwara mind movement, Panchadwara Vajjana mind movements, those are the Manodhatu, and there is no advanced kind of mental performance of cognizing there. But in the case of Mano Viññāṇa Dhatu, you have advanced mental function of cognizing. So that is the difference between Mano Dhatu and the Mano Viññāṇa Dhatu. Okay, now let's move to Atthakatha again. Atthakatha, Rupavacharangpana. Now actually this is the resultant mind movement. That is the explanation. This explanation is the resultant mind. Now we finish wholesome mind and the unwholesome mind. Now resultant mind. Resultant mind mean, for example, if you produce jhana here, this is the kusala mind or the wholesome mind. And then when you enter into this jhana, especially for the rupavachara jhana, that means the fine material plane jhana, if you produce up to 4th jhana, then if you in the verge of death, if you enter upon to this any kind of jhana, rupavachara jhana, you can reborn accordingly in the Brahma plane. So there your resultant mind movement will be resultant mind movement. So now they're gonna explain this thing. Rupavachara resultant, or the fine material resultant consciousness. Now Rupavacharampana kusalangviya panchavidam. Now that means that of the fine material world, resultant consciousness is of 5 kinds. So what are they? As its wholesome side, kusalang we mean as its wholesome side. For example, what is the wholesome kusala in the case of Rupavachara world? Wholesome kusala is the wholesome or the kusala mind is the vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata, so-called first jhana, like that. Then the second jhana, without vitakka. Without vitakka, you have vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata, so-called second jhana. And then without both, and then absence of both of this vitakka and vichara, and then piti, sukha, ekaggata, so-called third jhana. Like that, up to the 5th jhana you have according to the Abhidhamma method. And those are the wholesomes. But unwholesome, its resultant also same. Mind movement is same, but results has been occurred in the Brahma plane as a Brahma. So therefore, it says that of the fine material world, resultant consciousness is of five kinds, according to the jhana factor, as its kusala or the wholesome side. Kusalam pana. Now, kusalam, little comparison has been given. Kusalam pana samapatti vasena javana vitiyang pavattati. Idang upapatyam patisandi chuti bhavanga vasena. What is that? So, for example, when you produce jhana in this world or in the deva world, for example, if you are in the deva being, like Tavatinsa deva being, yeah, you can produce the jhana in the human plane or the deva plane. So that is the kusala jhana, and kusala jhana you can find them out as a samapatti. That means you enter into the jhana. That is the samapatti. But idang upapatyam patisandi bhavanga chuti vasena. That resultant mind, the way different. The resultant mind, anyway, it's when you reborn in as a Brahma, that is the patisandi vipaka. That means it is a resultant consciousness. And then they are what is the existence of them? Existence of them mean they need to their cause of life in the Brahma planes. Their cause of life. You can see the bhavanga. Bhavanga also resultant mind movement. And then chuti means the death linking mind movement. Chuti. There are chuti also. Then you can see this is the resultant consciousness. Even to the usual human beings as well as the deva being also, kamavachara deva being also, this partisan. You have partisandi, you have partisandi or the birth linking mind movement. You have cause of life continuum, and then you have death linking mind movement. But this is not the difference is these are the jhana mental process. But here what we are talking about here resultant is not the jhana mental process. Jhana mental process, anyway, if you produce, that is the kusala. So and therefore it explains the difference. Yathacha rupavacharam evam arupavacharampi kusalangya chatubidam. And now, as that of the fine material plane, resultant consciousness like the wholesome consciousnesses, so as of the immaterial plane. Immaterial plane also same. For example, in the immaterial plane, when you produce the immaterial jhana, the first jhana, what is the first jhana? Akasa nanchayatana jhana, the base of boundless space. So this, if you produce this base of boundless space, so that is the kusala or the wholesome kind of. And then when you reborn mean when you enter into this jhana at the verge of death, and if you reborn in the first immaterial plane, that is what is the base of boundless space. So there you have resultant consciousness. So that means entering upon to the jhana, you can only produce the kusala or the wholesome, and reborn there, you can achieve the resultant consciousness. In this way, you need to understand. And it said, therefore, fourfold. This is fourfold. The immaterial consciousnesses are fourfold. So first consciousness is the resultant consciousness is the base of boundless space, jhana. And then base of boundless space, jhana, or the base of boundless consciousness. Sorry, base of boundless space, yeah, jhana. And then the second one is the base of boundless consciousness, Viññāṇakkhandhakathā. And the third one is base of nothingness. That means akinchanyayatana jhana. And then you have ultimately you have neva sanya, na sanya jhana. Neither perception nor non-perception jhana. So therefore, according to the result, according to the kusala or the wholesome mindset, the result you can produce in the arupa plane. So 4 kinds. And then what is the lokuttara? And then again it says, Pavatti Bheda Pissa, Bedo Pissa, Rupavachare Vuttanayo Eva. Pavatti means the course of life, you know, in the course of life, for example, they are Patisandhi also given with this resultant mind. They are Patisandhi or the birth thinking. And then in the same way, in the Rupavachara or the fine material, this course of life continuum also this jhana mind, this jhana resultant mind. And then when they are about to die, then you have chuti mind, chuti or the birth thinking mind movement. That is also what kind of this. This is also the same as the resultant mind. So that in this way you need to understand there. And now lokuttara vipaka. Lokuttara vipaka means the resultant consciousness of the supramundane plane. So supramundane plane lokuttara vipaka chatumagga yutta pala chitta chatumagga yutta chitta palatta chatubhida. Those are also 4 kinds. 4 kinds. It is 4 kinds mean how it become 4 kinds. Maggaviti vasena chatumagga yutta chitta palatta. Actually, these 4 kinds, because it is respectively the fruition of the consciousness associated with the path. Fruition of the consciousness associated with the path, right? So, for example, the path, the stream entry path knowledge or the sotapatti path knowledge, Magganyana, is actually this is the kusala. Kusala, that means that is the we can say that is the wholesome, right? Wholesome. And then yeah, that is awesome. And then you know, once return means sakadagami also they are wholesome kind of consciousness, wholesome consciousness is wholesome, not the unwholesome, Magganyana. And then you have once returner, there is a one returner, non-returner. The anagami also one kind of that is also there in the case of anagami also, you know, that is the magganyana, right? Magganyana become palanyana. Magganyana become palanyana. And finally arahant also same as the other 3 cases. That means you have Magganyana and Palanyana. This is the fruition. That means they are vipaka mean they are fruition knowledge. Therefore, you have 4 kind of fruition basically. The stream entry fruition and the once returner fruition, then non-returner fruition and the arahant fruition. Okay, so then it says then Chatubhidang, that means 4-fold. Tang maggaviti vasena cheva samapatti vasena the dvida pavattati. What is that? That means when you enter into the noble one, that means you there arises no supramundane jhana mental process, right? Supramundane jhana mental process. For example, you have supramundane jhana mental process mean the bhavanga breaking down. After bhavanga breaking down, then there arises manodara vajjana, and then you have parikama mind and upachara mind. That means preliminary mind, and then the upachara mind being the access mind, and then you have conformity mind, and then you have the change of lineage mind. Then only your jhana javana arises. Jhana javana. In this case also, you know, jhana javana arises. That is the magga jnana. The firstly path knowledge, and then you have taken the nibbana, path knowledge, taking the nibbana. There arises path knowledge, And then you have first pala or the fruition mind, and then you have second fruition mind. Sometimes only you have third fruition mind. So here, first and second fruition minds are the resultant consciousness. So in this way, you need to understand in the Lokuttara side. And now explain. And then tang maggaviti vasena cha cheva samapatti vasena cha divida pavattari. Then when you enter into the noble state, so there that is the samapatti vasena. That means you enter upon to the noble jhana. And other one is the Maggaviti. Sorry, that is the Maggaviti, right? When you enter into the stream entry or the once returner, non-returner, or the Arahant path knowledge, then that is the Maggaviti. Chittaviti, you have the Chittaviti. If you have kind of Chittaviti in the or the mental process in the noble. Please, Doctor, can you share with us?
Bhante, for the noble
Yeah,
Ariyatana,
noble mean Magga and Magga Chittavi. Magga Chittavi.
I might have to look for that, Bhante.
Yeah, that is the thing. Yeah, this is the
That
thing.
is just for the jhana, Bhante.
Yeah, Jahana, no? Okay.
Here, this is for Abhinya.
For Jahana. Okay, okay.
You may not have in this one, Bhante, but I might have to search, Bhante.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, keep this, I explain. So, for example, when the jhana, this is the this is the lokiya jhana, or we can say that is the mundane jhana. So, in the case of mundane jhana, there arises Manodaravajana and Parikamma, or the preliminary mind, and then the access mind, Upachara, and then Anuloma mind, conformity, and then you have Gotrubu mind, Gotrubu, change of lineage mind. So after that, they are here fourth jhana, or the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, or up to eighth jhana. But in the case of when you see the Nibbana, then you take the Nibbana from Gautabu mind also, change of lineage mind, and then there arises Magganyana, right? Magganyana, and then two kinds of fruition knowledges, two kinds of fruition mind. Uh, so therefore, after Magga, this is the Maggaviti. Therefore, it is what is called Maggaviti. In the case of Maggaviti, after that, after Magga or the path knowledge, you have only two kinds of phala or the fruition mind movement. So therefore, Maggaviti was saying. So they explain Maggaviti. Maggaviti means the mental process of the noble ones. And then Samapatti was saying. Okay, let's move to. Thank you so much, Dr. Shikal. Then let's move to our Attakatha again. So Magga was saying, sorry, Samapatti was saying. I mean, when you become a stream entry noble one, so you can again enter into the Phala Samapatti or the fruition attainment. Phala mind movement to the Phala mind movement to you can attain any time. So that is what's called Samapatti, attainment, fruition attainment. So this fruition attainment, no need to do the Vasibhava, Pancha Vasibhava like thing, you don't need to do. Why? It happened to the noble one, uh, like that mean this when you enter into the um, fruition attainment, that means anytime you can attain, anytime, anywhere, whatever the place, or whatever the time duration, you can attain, as well as you can emerge from the jhana means the fruition attainment to the fruition mind movement only. No need to do the Vasibhava or the five mastery. Okay, so this is the thing we up to now we explain um, every kind of resultant mindsets. So evam sabbampi chattins evam sabbampi chatusu bhumisu chattins vidang vipaka viññāṇaṃ hoti. Therefore, you know, resultant consciousness, all of the four planes, mean your sensual plane, immaterial plane, and fine material plane, and the lokuttara plane. So altogether, you have 36 kind of resultant consciousnesses. So keep in mind, those are very important to practice this meditation. This meditation means when you practice vipassana, and before practice vipassana, you need to find out all your dukkha satchidhamma, or the noble truth of suffering, and then all your noble truth of the cause of suffering. So those are the object of vipassana. So you need to know the object of vipassana, otherwise you can't enter. For example, if you know your five aggregate well, or your world well, five world well, then only you can cross this. Otherwise you can't cross. So therefore, these every details are very, very important to practice very clearly, very vividly, according to the Buddha's teaching. So today enough. Then tomorrow, the next day onwards, we will do kriya mind movement, or the functional mindsets. So today we will stop here. And thank you for having me. Thank you for the listeners. So we just share our merits to the all beings, with the all beings. Idamme punyang asavakhaya vahang hotu. Idamme punyang nibbanasa paccayo hotu. Mama punyang bhagang sabbe sattanam bhajemi. Te sabbe me samang punyang bhagang ladhantu. Buddha sasanam chiram tithatu. Buddha sasanam chiram tithatu. Buddha sasanam chiram tithatu. Sadhu, sadhu.